something that is not as atrocious, and that's what triggers them. Like, that was way more atrocious. Yes, it's an atrocity, but to compare it to that, like, do you think that if it was an actual, like, let's say, for example, in another country, they performed chattel, that's what it's called, chattel slavery, like, almost to a T, and they were like, they're conducting slavery that would, just like how, was conducted in America. I don't think that they would get upset. I think it's just that we try to make that analogy sometimes, and it's like a million miles apart. That makes it trigger. Not a million miles apart, but it's just doesn't do it justice.
That's a great point. That's a really good point, Scylla. And in fact, people are more offended when I invoke the Shoah, which is a very specific genocide, than when I invoke genocide in general, right? Because, like, Jews do acknowledge that other genocides have happened, but when I say something like, when I make a comparison like the children of the Holocaust have committed a Holocaust, they get very offended by that. They say you can't compare, and it's true, to some extent it's true, you can't compare any two atrocities, they're all different, right?
But was it really 6 million?
Hey, sugar.
Is Holocaust a title of an event that occurred, or does it mean, like, specifically something that could be attributed to other events?
It's usually associated with the Holocaust, the Jewish Holocaust. So there were like 3 million Poles or something that died, but they don't consider that a Holocaust, or even like I don't even know. It might be considered a genocide, but not a Holocaust. I don't know. The Holocaust is supposed to be a unique event. It's a unique name to memorialize the 6 million that died.
And it wasn't used before the Holocaust.
It means like burnt offering or something, literally. And that's what Shoah means too, I think. What does Shoah mean? Let me double check.
Burnt offering, that doesn't make sense.
No, it's like because they were burned. I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to the library to research this right now as we speak.
Or I'll just tell you what they say on the internet.
This is what we do on Sunday.
Holocaust and Shoah were from the Greek word, derived from the Greek. Okay, Greek origin. It means thing wholly burnt or sacrificed by fire. The biblical context. It's a translation of the Hebrew word olah, which refers to burnt offering sacrifice to God that was completely consumed by fire with nothing left over. I guess because the Jews were burned in ovens, right? It invokes the memory of the burning of bodies in the crematoria and open pits during the final solution. The Hebrew word Shoah means catastrophe, devastation, or utter destruction.
I prefer cheese pizza.
Come on, sugar. Come on, don't make light. This is a serious conversation. You're basically like giving license to the anti-Semites to come up here and deny the Holocaust.
But these people are like, the English is their second language, and half of them are like mentally ill. Why do you even communicate with them? I'm sorry.
What do you mean? They're not English. These are Americans.
The vast majority of people that you tend to go into arguments with are English is not their first language.
The worst, most virulent anti-Semites on this app are Christian supremacists from America, okay? It's Pepe, it's...
they're all mentally ill.
They're perfectly sane, and they've come to a conclusion that the Holocaust is overstated and that Jews are fundamentally evil and cause their own Holocaust. They believe this shit.
Perfectly sane should be used loosely there.
They're all on some form of government assistance, Buttercup. Okay, and they're living at home and they don't work. Telling you the truth. Maybe 2020, 2021, and kind of 2022, there was some substance of individuals that provided.
Here's a funny story you'll like, Sugar. I remember right when Trump got elected, I was hanging out. There's like a lot of Jews who are like liberal, except when it comes to Israel, and so they voted for Trump even though they're liberals, right? And like this guy that my friend's boyfriend.
That's Florida.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess in some parts of Florida. So this guy was basically telling me how he has 2 kids and he got them all, signed them up for Israeli citizenship when they're babies in case the Nazis come back. And then at the time Trump is getting elected, where literally he is in bed courting Nazis as part of his campaign. And I'm just like, what do you think the fucking Nazis look like? Like, it's just some, like, weird, like, for years and years, the liberals were just kind of like, why are they yelling about the Holocaust? The Nazis aren't coming back. Everyone's exaggerating. Everyone's being melodramatic. And it was like the right-wingers are like, you have to be vigilant. They can show up at any day. Figure out who's going to hide you, right? And it was like this sort of dichotomy in the community, whether to be hyper-vigilant about the Nazis coming back and showing up in America. And then Trump got elected and it became the reverse, where literally there's Nazis in his administration. He's courting Nazi white supremacists in our country. He's empowering them. He's legitimizing them. And then suddenly liberal Jews are fucking terrified because they realize the sort of authoritarian fascist direction we're going in. And the right-wing Jews are like, yay, we're so happy. Like the people who used to be paranoid about the Nazis showing up and get their kids Israeli citizenship from birth are the same people who are now celebrating a president that courts and welcomes Nazis into his administration and into his ear. Speaking of the Holocaust,
I've seen it in the entirety of living my whole life in Florida. There's a lot of very confused individuals here, and no one understands what up or down is anymore. Like it's so loose-ended, and like like my father is a great example. Like trailing him through his own eyes and like walking through because he's so boisterous and very vocal. Like my dad has always been a Republican, but he hates Trump. He absolutely despises Trump. So therefore, he became a Democrat. Though he speaks and espouses as if he's a Republican still, right? He's very hard individual, but he hates Trump so much that he's quote unquote a Democrat. So he'll navigate in conversation with other boomers like out and about at the diners and stuff, like at the local bagel place. And the signaling is so confusing because you have Democrats that come from New York and all of a sudden are the staunch Republicans, but have some very liberal views, whereas my dad is now a liberal who has very conservative views. It's like it's the most diametrically opposed perspectives, and it's like very confusing. So like when you sit there and they're like arguing about things, they don't know what they're arguing about. They're just either like parroting things that comes from within the party that they now quote unquote support, but yet again internally, intrinsically, they feel quite the opposite. So like and I listen to them, like I don't intervene. I think all of this is all dumb. But from like a bird's eye view, when I listen to just go to the diner, come to South Florida, you'll hear these people at the local diner. I'm telling you, it is a funny experience. You just go to listen to these Joey Buttafuoco fucking New Yorkers, and you're going wait, you're Jewish? What the fuck's happening? And then I listen to my dad talk his shit, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? All you guys are absolutely fucking positively retarded.
Yeah,
1,000%.
We're all retarded. We've all gone off the deep end.
It makes no sense. So that's why I once again, to digress, all this stuff is so stupid to me, and that's why I make fun of it, and that's why I troll. It's just it's so dumb.
Yeah, it does. It was a joke to us. Holocaust education was a joke to us because it was so ridiculous. They were showing us these piles of bodies when we live in America, and our life is so privileged, and we have so much access to opportunity, and we've achieved so much status. It's really ridiculous, right? Everyone we know is privileged. Everyone lives in the suburbs, and we're sitting there talking about piles of dead bodies and great black and white pictures. And now, suddenly, we're seeing pictures, piles of bodies, and skinny children. And all of a sudden, the Holocaust memorial organizations are telling us to look away and close our eyes. And it's the opposite of what they've been drilling into our heads.
It's for those that live here, that once again, my experience is not just yours, obviously, but they take yours in consideration too. But here, what I think it is that they have been, how can I say that? They have not escaped. It's become a habit to only look at our own atrocities, the only issues that we've had internally, and they can't see anything outside of that. And if they do, they try to compare it. It's like, well, either they're shunned or they're kind of like, well, it's not really important to my relevance and to what I
There's something especially corny about sort of and funny almost, amusing, like caricaturistic about the American Jewish psyche and pathology of being obsessed with the Holocaust. And it's the basis of so much hilarious literature and art and movies, right? Of our sort of American Jewish post-war pathology of like fixating on the Holocaust and seeing ghosts of Hitler everywhere, right? And then that's why it's so ironic, right? That suddenly it becomes a sacred cow when it has to do with when we are the ones who are dehumanizing or falling into the same human trap of dehumanizing the other.
And yet again, you got like Jewish influencers that, that they're making fun of themselves. They're gesturing, like maxing themselves.
I don't know who you're talking about. Oh, you're talking about like the pro-Israel influencer ecosystem?
No, well, there's a kind of a duality I see in the influencer world.
You use general terms, they, them, who? Be specific.
Well, there's quite a bit. There's a lot of local influencers here in Florida that are like super Jewish, but they don't partake into the ethos of like the hard right kind of thing. They kind of like joke on it, and they want to be as relevant as someone who's like who's also like who questions like Sneeko and all that. They kind of virtue signal to people like him, and they want to be part of that ethos. So have you not noticed like it's all the alt-right white supremacists are all diverse. They're all diverse, right? Like Kenny KO, Sneeko.
I don't know who these people are. Okay.
And it's important. Are you kidding me? You absolutely should understand.
These are right-wing.
No, these are all black, Arab, Hispanic. It's the most goofiest thing to see.
No, they're not Arab.
I know that. That's what I'm
What are
trying
you saying about them? What are they? How are they invoking?
These are white, like white supremacist activists. Like these are even Nick Fuentes. He's like a half Hispanic, right?
Okay, how does that tie to the Holocaust narrative?
I'm trying to explain that the people that the Jewish influencers, especially here, the ones that try to vibe, they tend to gravitate to those individuals, and they'll end up setting up themselves with those people, like on a podcast, talking about Jewish issues and whatnot, and clowning on themselves and clowning on other people. Whereas, like, the hard right strays away from those individuals, and they become this very dictatorial, like, individuals that are on. I gotta send you a whole bunch of clips. I'll send you clips.
Send me clips, and then I'll try to info.
I don't think you really care anyways, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever.
Hey Bob, what's up? Are you Jew? Did you grow up with a Holocaust?
He's a Persian hybrid.
Okay.
He's all kinds of everything.
It's just a mix. We're talking about Holocaust education, how there's sort of two schools of thought. Like, so one version is that the Holocaust is a unique event in history, cannot be compared to anything. And the other is that it must be compared, it's instructive. And many of us, when you learn about the Holocaust growing up, especially in the West, we also learn about Armenian genocide, Rwanda genocide, and we see it as an instructive event in history that is a warning about the capacity of man to do evil and dehumanize the other. And so we're discussing how both sides of this Israel-Palestine debate tend to weaponize the memory of the Jewish Holocaust for their own political purposes. And so we're trying to explore when it's okay to invoke and when it cheapens it and when it's actually instructive.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts?
Have any thoughts? I think are you asking me to opine on whether or not it's unique or it should be instructive?
It's okay to compare anything to the Holocaust.
Is it okay to compare anything to the Holocaust? Well, yeah, sure, why not?
Okay, good. So I'll give you an example.
Like, I think...
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
If people say Netanyahu is Hitler, is that okay?
No, I would make those comparisons. But, like, I would understand why someone makes them.
Is it okay to say the October 7th massacre was a Holocaust? Or just invoke the Holocaust,
no.
Say it's the first atrocity since the Holocaust, the largest one since the Holocaust. Is it okay to make a comparative statement like that?
When Hamas went in and killed like some thousand Jews.
Yeah. Like, is it okay to say it's the largest massacre since the Holocaust? It's not okay to say that? Because it's just...
Do you mean okay as in like socially acceptable, or okay as in do you think it's true or reasonable?
Is it useful?
Useful.
And useful to who? Because some people say, like, the invoking of the Holocaust was a way to sort of push Israelis' trauma buttons and generate support for the war, right? It's not that it arguably could be one of the worst.
No, I think
I think it's the second worst.
I think it's very ham-fisted to compare it to the Holocaust.
Yeah, I think the way they frame it is it's the worst massacre since the Holocaust. The worst massacre since the Holocaust of Jews.
I'm not
happened
getting
to the Jews, yeah. I think I'd compare it, if we move it out of to specifically be about Jews, so we talk about what kind of other event is comparable to. Maybe 9/11 is something that
that actually is a much better
comes to mind.
apt comparison.
Are you saying it's hyperbole? Are you saying it's hyperbole or an unfair or a false equivalence to compare the Holocaust to October 2nd? Is that the question?
No. Okay, so we're viewing. There's two ways Jews since the Holocaust, and thinkers and philosophers have fallen into two camps. Either the Holocaust was an exceptional tragedy in history you can never compare, and it represents something unique, because anti-Semitism is the worst kind of hate, and it's unique compared to all other types of hatred, and we need to put it on a pedestal, and it has to be the sacred cow that we never compare, right? Other Jews say we must compare. It's instructive because it warns us about the capacity of man for evil and to dehumanize each other, right? And so these are the two schools of thought. And with Israel and Palestine, both sides have sort of weaponized the memory of the Holocaust for their own political agenda. And so what we're exploring now is when it's acceptable and useful and instructive to invoke the Holocaust, and when it's offensive.
I still go to too soon.
Too soon for what? For the Holocaust? To compare to the Holocaust?
No, that's kind of like, it's like well, you can't compare the impact in which like the incident that has happened. It's like, but it's too soon. That's what happens. It's like, well, okay, well, on the alternate, on the coin itself, it's like, well, if you can't compare the intensity, well, then is it too soon or too late?
So Daniel has an interesting comment. He's from Israel, and I really wish that Emrose was still here so she could give us like an overview of what it's like. I think in Israel it's far more taboo to compare things to the Holocaust than it is in America, where we take a more universalist, humanist perspective on Jewish ideals, right? And so they see anti-Semitism is very much in the forefront of Israeli culture. Everyone hates us. That's why we exist, and it's central to their narrative about why they exist. And so they have a much harder time saying any atrocities are similar to the Holocaust, or saying anything similar, or even comparing themselves, being introspective about themselves as the capacity of doing the very thing that used to oppress us. And so in America, though, we have a very different view. And the way we learn about the Holocaust is actually as an instructive event, where we do compare it to the Rwandan genocide, and we do compare it to the Armenian genocide. And in Hebrew schools and in day schools, when we learn about the Holocaust and Jewish history, we learn it through a prison. We see it as a warning. We make our great-grandparents' deaths meaningful by saying it is a warning on the human capacity for evil. And we are all susceptible to this, and the human capacity to dehumanize the other. And this is why I think a fundamental difference between Israeli culture and American culture, and I think Daniel in the chat is actually highlighting a major gap between American and Israeli Jews. I really wish Emrose was here because she represents the far left in Israel, and she might have a different perspective. It might be in some schools they do see the Holocaust as instructive and something worth comparing.
Go ahead, Daniel.
Daniel, you want to come up? Not this Daniel, the other Daniel Nero. You want to say something? I was talking about Israeli Daniel Neon. He's like in the chat.
I think we should get a sample from other Israelis that left Israel and that like now live in Thailand. I wonder if they.
So guys, this really makes
sense. Does anyone know any Thailander Israelis that could come?
They don't give a fuck.
I know, they're so over it.
They could give two shits.
So yesterday, Buttercup, Redmond made that comment on Never Again, right?
Yeah.
And it was a comparison based on, like, say, empathy, exactly like how you probably see it as a Jew within the American paradigm. And, like, now that you're saying this, it's making sense. Because I made a comparison that Emrose didn't get, and immediately jumped at it out of, like, justified sensitivity, right?
Yeah.
And she said, no, we don't do that. We just don't do... All she's saying is we just don't compare it to anything.
Yeah.
Well, the question was, I don't know, someone asked this like absurd hypothetical, like, what do you think is happening in the mind of like a Palestinian, right? when he's going through atrocities.
Yeah.
What do you think is happening in the mind of Palestine?
Yeah, so I made a poetic comparison saying that he's probably thinking never again.
Like if I went to Palestine and be like, let's stop this and let's rebuild. That
could be.
And it's Hamas that is.
All right, David,
David, I'm not going there. I made a poetic comparison, right? And I said, a child is perhaps thinking, never again do I want my children perhaps to see such atrocity. A mother is thinking, never again do I want.
But if they only had two options.
Right? So, listen, I was giving a hypothetical. I was giving a poetic answer to that, kind of implying that surely, like, human empathy is uniform across the board in the human family. And that is the message I was trying to sort of convey, right? As a humanitarian.
Yeah, I think it was a little ambiguous. In her defense, it was a little ambiguous.
The question itself was a bit absurd, I think.
With all due respect, we've seen the humanitarian side of Hamas.
All right, David, you're missing the convo. You're not understanding the context. Keep up. Let me explain to you. I'm going to say it. I said it like 14 times. I'm going to say it again. Today, we're talking about two schools of thoughts in the Jewish community. Since you're from suburban Connecticut or New Jersey or whatever, tri-state area, you know, and you grew up around a lot of Jews, you know that the Holocaust is a big part of our narrative and our cultural history and our cultural heritage in the last 100 years. And one thing we talk about is there's two schools of thoughts. One is that you can never compare anything to the Holocaust. It's sacred. It's a sacred cow. And we should see it as a unique tragedy in history. And there are many unique characteristics of it. And it's true. On the other hand, many people in America, especially more liberal Jews in America, see the Holocaust as instructive, and we want our great-grandparents' deaths to mean something. And the way we make it mean something is we say we must compare things to the Holocaust and see it as a warning of the capacity of human man towards evil. This is the question we're talking about. We're not talking about Hamas. We're talking about whether or not we may or may not compare things, and when it's acceptable to compare anything to the Holocaust. That's the convo, David. Stay on topic. Thank you.
I thought that supporting Jewish sovereignty in the land of Israel was how we memorialized the deaths of our ancestors.
That is sort of that is the narrative in Israel, which is why they tend to have a different relationship with the Holocaust than American Jews.
Yeah, I would agree with being said. It's like the ongoing stabilism of the Jewish state is the most.
When's the last time you slept, David?
Okay.
Can we not boost Buttercup's ego anymore?
What do you mean? Who's boosting my ego?
Buttercup, you're short and you need a step stool to get to the top shelf.
I was going to make
Buttercup. Call it a
I'm sorry, I was being mean. You were making a good point, David. Go.
No, I don't want to make it anymore.
No, he wasn't.
From your expertise as like a suburban
New Jersey.
The only suburban he is suburban trash. So.
Suburban Peruvian.
That's redundant.
Wait, Docs.
Suburban trash.
Oh yeah, I find it bizarre that no comparison can be made to something that is placed at a pedestal wherein one is just not allowed to make any comparison to a particular tragedy, a tragedy that no one's calling it by no means is it less, or by no means is someone being reductionist about it, and yet you're not given the freaking opportunity to make a comparison. Don't you think this is absurd?
Well, the truth
I'm going to ask Paul.
American Jewish culture is full of comparisons. We've written so much amazing literature and art and music and movies, from Philip Roth to Mel Brooks to Isaac Bashevis Singer, that kind of skewers the Holocaust and is irreverent towards it and finds humor in it and finds meaning and lessons in it. And this is part of our American Jewish culture, which is why I think there's a bit of a gap now between us and Israel, where their whole foundation of their narrative of why they exist has to do with sanctifying the Holocaust and making it an exceptional event, and that justifies their existence, so they're scared to touch it.
Let's not forget Woody Allen.
Woody Allen, yeah. Look, this is just part of. This has become our. I don't know. We're able to.
I'm going to tell you. I'll tell you that the opinions that I do admire are those that are all my Jewish male friends that are all married to Latinas. So I'm going to get back to you on that and see what they think. And no, to answer your question, not all of them are married to big booty Latinas.
So everyone can check out the chat if you want to see an example of like Israeli attitudes towards the Shoah and whether or not there are lessons for us and how we process it and make it meaningful. In Israel, they have other ways. They sanctify it, they elevate it, they put it, they make it sacred, right? And in America, we see it as something to that we interpret in art and analyze and see lessons in. Azazel, you want to come up and talk about the Israeli experience and how you guys talk about the Holocaust?
So how do we compare that to Black History Month, to what happened to the blacks?
Oh, we did talk about that. Excellent point, Blessed.
Well, I didn't make a point. I asked a question.
So
Thank you, Blessed. That's actually very...
That's something we covered, actually. Sally, go ahead.
Shut the fuck up, Michael.
Oh, he said, why don't we compare it to Black History Month? Like, why?
I think somebody's mic's really low.
Yeah, if your mic's not.
What is the point of the? How are we comparing it to Black History? Like, we should have like a remembrance where we teach the Holocaust, or?
Okay, so the question is, I'm going to say this again for the 100th time. There's two schools in Jewish thought and Jewish philosophy and Jewish community of how to talk about the Holocaust. On the one hand, people say you should never talk about it. It's a unique event in history. It's sacred, and it is unique in a lot of ways, and therefore you should never compare other atrocities in the world to the Holocaust. And other people say, and especially don't weaponize it for political purposes like people do all the time. The other side says, you should compare the things to the Holocaust. In fact, many American Jews learned about the Holocaust and discussed the memory of the Holocaust by talking about the Rwandan genocide and all the other and the Armenian genocide. And we see it as a lesson, and our great-grandparents' deaths as meaningful when we actually use it as instructive, as a warning about the capacity of man towards evil and our capacity of man to dehumanize the other. And so then when it comes to the Israel-Palestine conflict, some of us see echoes of it, but then all of a sudden our institutions who have been telling us to keep the memory of the Holocaust alive are suddenly silent and telling us to close our eyes and look the other way. And so this is sort of a theme, and I wanted to open up the question, because both sides in the Israel-Palestine conflict tend to weaponize the memory of the Jewish Holocaust for their own political gain. And so I wanted to without imposing my own beliefs on it, open the discussion about when it's acceptable and fair to invoke the memory of the Holocaust and when it's inappropriate. And many times it is inappropriate.
So you're telling me right now that the people in Gaza and the people that are pretending to identify as being Palestinian aren't weaponizing what happened in Gaza for their benefit?
I don't know what they're doing, but I'm saying, like,
what do you mean? You hear it all over social media.
Okay, I don't really care what they're doing. It's not my business. My problem is, when I grew up,
why am I getting X's when you guys know it's true?
Because you're
okay. So let me respond.
You're not staying on track.
I am staying on it. We're talking about
weaponizing. You made a point. So let me respond.
How dare you?
I think this is what I wanted to focus the conversation among Jews, because there's a binary in the Jewish community about how to talk about the Holocaust, okay? This has nothing to do with how Gazans talk about the Holocaust, or non-Jews.
We don't have a book on how to talk about the Holocaust. I don't know why
there are
many
books.
There are
numerous books, Blessed. If you read a book, you'll know there are many books on Jewish thought that are cited in the article above about how to talk about the Holocaust. This is not a new concept. We've been talking about it for 80 years, okay? So let me respond to what you said. As a child of great-grandkid of Holocaust survivors, I was drilled into my head with these very bleak images of piles of body and emaciated children. And when the Gaza war broke out, at some point you start to see echoes. The things that they taught you and warned you about and tell you are instructive about humanity and our capacity for evil all of a sudden become relevant, regardless of whether or not it meets the criteria of a genocide. You can't not see those things that your Holocaust education drilled into your head growing up. But when I say it, all of a sudden, those very people who said, oh, never forget the Holocaust and see it as a warning for humanity about the capacity for evil are suddenly telling me that, just kidding, don't look, like, this is not relevant. This is not comparable, and it's actually taboo to compare. And so we're trying to explore this paradox, right? That on the one hand, they told us it is instructive to compare, and now they're saying, just kidding.
Phoebe, is it okay to compare other atrocities to
I love you, Buttercup. I love you.
Yeah, I love you too. And Mohammed.
You can't do that. Now he's going to think you're his wife.
Yeah, in a very platonic way.
No, seriously, you got to be very careful.
Megatron, I'm warning you. There's, I should, since that's kind of in your room, I should put a PSA. Any even slight conspiracy theory about Jews controlling the media or questioning the legitimacy of the Jewish Holocaust or any anti-Jewish conspiracy, you immediately get pushed down without finishing the thought, because that is what caused the Holocaust, and we're going to treat it with sensitivity to deserve.
I want to hear what BB has.
What was wrong with the first three versions of Buttercup?
She was a little too feisty. She made too many enemies.
She was too anti-Semitic.
Fuck you. My crime, Bob, was being naive enough to think that humans have the capacity to live together and not kill each other for each other.
We can't.
I mean, I don't know what to think about the topic.
That's okay. You can just listen.
Well,
if your language is not
this,
English,
I want to add to the framing. Sorry, what? What's that?
You can only answer if English was not your first language.
Right, he's trolling. Bob.
Well, you're in luck. English is not my first language.
Okay, and do you have a mental disability by any chance?
Stop talking, sugar.
Well, I'm on this app.
Okay, you have the stage.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. I think it's weird to say that it should never be talked about. So I guess I'm part of the second school, where it's like you should talk about it. I mean, it has value and being talked about. It's open up for comparison. Maybe there aren't any. Maybe there are. But not talking about it seems weird. Like adopting this like defensive isolationist position of like, nobody ever talk about it. It's unique, and then you terminate the conversation. There seems completely really strange.
It's absurd. It's like not allowing humans to even cause that gradation in tragedy, or even if you want to put it on like the pedestal of all tragedies, within a certain community or in the world, to not be allowed to make a comparison, it's rather absurd.
Do they actually mean don't talk about it at all, or don't compare it to anything else at all?
Yeah.
I think it's what you described, that how the way you described African Americans being offended when people compare things to slavery. I think it's something similar to that. It's a similar sensitivity where it is a unique atrocity in history, and people think that you should respect it and not cheapen it by saying, a lesser tragedy is the same as the Jewish Holocaust, which was really, really shocking to the world and changed irreparably changed us as humans, right?
It's more like saying like Christ who died for our sins on the cross, and XYZ who died out of like self-sacrificing themselves for the greater good, sort of a thing. And then it would be natural to say, no, you don't compare Christ to these to mere mortals, right? Something like that.
Terrible example, but I get it.
See, so you see how it's very places. It's how high you place. Say that again?
Yeah. I mean, it's always been this way. If you read the article above, you might have to use a paywall remover. Like, it sort of lays out the dichotomy, the binary in our community about how to talk about the Holocaust. And I think most people fall somewhere in between, but I think it depends also, like, politics has a big influence on it. So you find that people invoke the Holocaust. It's okay. They find it okay to invoke the Holocaust when it's for their own purposes, when they're saying, October 7 was the worst slaughter of Jews since the Holocaust, which may be a true statement, but the invocation of the Holocaust is designed to push people's buttons and make them feel a certain way, right? And then those same people say, oh, if you compare, and make any comparison to what's happening in Gaza and the Holocaust, you're an anti-Semite and you need to be excommunicated and you're a Nazi, right? And so I think people on both sides, to be fair, have sort of weaponized the memory of our ancestors' brutal murder for their own purpose, their own political purpose.
I think that if you are correct, Buttercup, and this particular one-time event is called the Holocaust, and then people are trying to use it as a Holocaust, it starts to get a little bit weird. Now, if you were saying like the Holocaust, like this is comparative, like this is like the Holocaust, right?
The thing is, there isn't a Holocaust. It's a word that was created just for the Jewish Holocaust. Right.
Like
if you say genocide, it's one thing.
Yeah.
People are more offended when I say Holocaust than when I say genocide.
Well, then I think that there could be a good legitimate reason for people to feel a certain kind of way if you're saying this is like a Holocaust rather than saying this is like the Holocaust. Does that make sense?
Right. And I think their argument is there is no a Holocaust. There is only the Holocaust.
I can see that.
A word that was.
I can see that.
And so, and the truth is, it's gratuitous. I don't need to say the children of the Holocaust committed a Holocaust. I could be more sensitive and say the children of the Holocaust are committing a genocide, or the children of genocide are creating a genocide, right? And that would be a gentler way to say it. When I say the children of the Holocaust are committing a Holocaust, I'm trying to be intentionally provocative. I know it's going to hurt people a little bit more because it refers to a unique event in history that affected all of our grandparents. I'm usually talking to Jews when I talk like that. I wouldn't talk to Gentiles that way because I know that they're not it doesn't have the same emotional attachments, right? It is like when I use that type of language, Stella, it's like I am trying to be provocative and maybe a little bit shocking because the word Holocaust or Shoah is sort of a sanctified word. It is like it refers to only one event.
Would you be shocking in order to expose the hypocrisy? Are you saying
that's why I'm doing? Yeah, because I personally am deeply pained by what's happened, and I think that what's happening in Gaza has sort of undermined everything that we thought we stood for as Jews, and sort of pulled the rug out from under us about our values and what it meant to be a Jew and what it meant to make our great grandparents' deaths meaningful. And so I'm trying to be provocative and shocking when I talk to my family and friends this way, because I am deeply pained by what's happening. It's shattered my.
You don't think Jews are trying to prevent what happened to them before, like the Holocaust, to not happen again? That you don't see that. You really don't see that. That's what's going on.
Yeah, of course. I'm saying when we
So
learn about the
if you
Holocaust,
see that, if you say, of course, you see that that's what's going on, then what's the issue?
Because
so Jews are trying to prevent the second Holocaust.
Trying to prevent that from happening to you again doesn't give you a free pass to do it to someone else.
We're not doing it to someone else. We're trying to prevent that from happening. So we're defending ourselves.
As usual, the nuances are like way over your head. So keep up. We're talking about terminology.
I am up. The problem is you're behind, and the world sees your guys' bullshit. If you guys think that you're winning the narrative and the propaganda war, but you think
there's
because
no propaganda war.
Hold on, I'll tell you why. So you see an Instagram post and you think because it has 400,000 likes that you're winning and the world agrees with you. But if you actually go into the comments, you'll see that everybody's against you. The pro-Pali movement. People are against the fucking movement. They're just you spend a lot of money on fucking putting up posts, but if you ask people and families and regular civilians, they're sick and tired of the lies. They see way through it.
Thank you for sharing, BP.
Mr. BP.
I don't think we should engage with him.
Why not? Nobody asked you to think for everybody.
Please, BP.
Yes.
We cannot compare. We know exactly what happened in Kwartsov. We know exactly. We cannot compare it with any other massacre. What happened?
No, I'm not. With all due respect, sir, I'm not. I'm saying that the Jews or Israel is trying to prevent that from happening again.
Let him finish his statement.
Don't interrupt when two adults are talking.
You interrupted.
No, I didn't. I'm engaging with him.
No, let him finish and then respond.
We understood from the deep of our heart, from the taste of suffering, we got it from the occupation. What happened to us as a Palestinian? We know exactly what is the meaning to stand in queue in a fucking chamber. To get in the chamber, to jump in the fucking chamber. Listen to me.
Let him finish.
Just listen to me. We know. We exactly know. This is why.
Fea, look up Fea in Spanish, what it means. That's exactly what you are, Fea.
For that,
Desgraciado.
the Holocaust of the Jewish people, we pay a very high price for that massacre. You got what I mean? We still pay the price. You got what I mean?
You paid the price for the massacre you caused? Is that what you're saying?
No, the Holocaust. They're paying the price for the Holocaust.
Let him speak, Buttercup.
You're understanding.
I want to speak with him.
For the Holocaust.
Why is he paying the price for the Holocaust?
Because
And that's
this
the
is
question.
what happened
Why
in
should he pay for the
Palestine.
Holocaust?
The result. We get rid of the Nazi regime not because they are Christians or
Who got rid of the Nazi regime?
Who
got rid of the Nazi regime?
They are a Nazi fucking.
Who got rid of the Nazi regime? You
It's a
didn't.
nightmare for
Who
the
did?
human being.
Who got rid of the Nazi regime?
My friend.
My friend, who got rid of the Nazi
I
regime?
feel sorry, still feel sorry about you. I feel sorry about you.
Listen,
I know.
Who got rid of the
Because
Nazi
I am your
regime?
destiny. You know why? I feel sorry about you because I am your destiny. You got what I mean?
No, I
Even
don't
if you
really
wanna
understand.
feel-
There's a communication breakdown. So
Even
who got rid of the Nazi regime? You just said you did. Your people did.
the world stand
world.
together.
The world
All
or the
world
wars?
stand together to get out with this nightmare
Yeah.
Nazi regime. Not because they are Christian, not because they are Orthodox or Jewish or whatever. Not that they are because they are Buddhist, because they are a fucking nightmare for all the humanity. This is the point. And we pay a price. When you came, the first immigrant.
You think that? Hold on. So you think Jews just started coming to Israel after the Holocaust?
Of course, we live together.
Okay, how can I communicate this guy's he's a fucking liar, retard.
Before the Holocaust,
There was no Jews in Israel before the Holocaust. Are you telling me?
During the Osmani period. Listen, please.
What European Jews? He just said no Jews.
The Holocaust. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? You're saying that there was no Jews in Israel before the Holocaust?
No, why
That's
are
what
you
he's talking about.
acting
You're intentionally being potentially obtuse.
No. Who else heard what he just said?
No, you're listening. You're half listening. Just listen.
Shut the fuck up, Bronstein. What did he say?
Shut the fuck up.
He's pointing out that Palestinians have been paying the price for the Holocaust for 80 years, okay? And they suffered.
Man.
And they,
Stop being
and
a
they're not,
fucking victim. Do something productive. You
they're
guys
not
get more money
unsympathetic
than
to the Holocaust, but they have been paying the price for the Holocaust.
Yeah, I know. They're paying the price so
RPTSD.
dearly. That's why they're digging tunnels in order to terrorize people. Stop, man.
Why should you all guys be all the only victims now?
We're not victims. That's the problem. We're victors.
Well, like we feel
We're not
sorry about
victims.
you.
That's the problem. You guys want us to be victims. We're not.
Well, like by tomorrow, you
This
know what
conversation
you
is getting
did
derailed.
in
Maybe
Gaza.
I'm sorry.
Please, sorry. What you did in Gaza, you know what you did. Exactly.
What?
Live, what you did. From the 1948, not much
Wait
people
your
did.
turn. It's a serious.
Yeah, so you're telling me, okay, hold on. Listen, the problem is,
Tomorrow, if you make
people are going to yell at me,
vote,
but
if you make a vote tomorrow in Gaza,
Mood, let me ask you a question.
Come on, man.
Let me ask you a question, Mood, without being interrupted.
Same like
So
other
you're saying, hold on, Mood, can I ask you a question, Mood? Without the respect, sir? So you're saying the world, and I don't want to be interrupted, so the world seeing it. So who's right here? Oh. So you're saying the world's seen it through video and Instagram and Facebook and all that, right? Correct? Hello? Mood.
She watched the videos.
Hold on. Mood. So did the world also see the Nutella stores, the restaurants that were still open during the whole time that the world was seeing these fake videos come out? Did the world see that these restaurants that were still open inside Gaza, that there's still buildings still standing inside Gaza? Or did they only see the part that the world wanted, that the propagandists wanted you to see? Like the rubble, destruction, and fake fucking tears. Like, come on, man. How does a fucking whole room of people still not understand what's going on here? 70,000 people dead, that's way too many. Absolutely, I agree with that. Okay. But 70,000 out of 2 million people in 2 years? You don't think that's precision striking?
All right.
What's the matter with that? Well, why can't I speak when I have something to say? Why do you want to shut me down? But I'm asking Mood. He's saying that the world's seen it. Did the world see the restaurants? Mood, did they see the restaurants that were open? Why didn't you answer?
Okay, you're taking it out of... Okay,
I'm not taking anything out of context. He said the world's seen what happened in Gaza.
You're getting derailed and this is boring.
Baby, you're yelling. Can you take a Xanax and chill, bro? Jeez.
He's going to go in the audience until he comes down.
Can we get back on the topic?
Yeah, so to recap the topic, I don't know if did you hear the intro, Igor? Basically, we're talking about Jews, how there's like a binary about how to talk about the Holocaust. Some people say it is instructive and we should compare things to it, and they learn about the Holocaust by talking about the Rwandan and the Armenian genocides, and they say it's instructive about the capacity of man for evil, and we must learn and make our great-grandparents' deaths meaningful. And then the other half say it's an exceptional event in history, it's horrific, it was industrialized killing, and we must treat it, sanctify it, make it like something that can never be compared. Right.
Yeah, I agree that we shouldn't compare.
Really?
And because I think there is like events in history who have different... when I say doesn't need to be compared, that doesn't mean that the other crimes are small or anything, right? But I think that the Holocaust is like specific event in the history that actually, and I think most of academic agreeing on that is like was industrial killing and stuff like that, and it's very unique. So when we start comparing that with other crimes that happened, like let's say in World War II, the genocide of the Serbs in Croatia that killed around 500,000 people in camps, it's also different than the Holocaust that happened to the Jews, right?
But can't we say every genocide is unique and not compare the two? Say they're apples to apples is one thing, but to just say to make it meaningful and say we learn from this about the capacity of humans to become evil or to dehumanize the other, then makes actually the tragedy more meaningful for a lot of us who are descended from Holocaust survivors, right?
Yeah, I agree that we shouldn't forget that and we should learn about that, and that never should happen again, right? And then if we have education about Holocaust, we will prevent genocide, other massacres, war crimes. I agree with that. But if you're comparing something that is not parallel with the Holocaust and making the same, how do you say it in English?
Equivalency?
I don't think that's fair, right? So that's why I'm saying, like, for example, I think when we're comparing some massacre and genocide, that need to be precise, right? We can't say that every war crime is a genocide. In the same vein, I think that we can't say that every genocide is like a Holocaust. So I don't believe that Holocaust, and by the way, that word was used like even before the World War II with a little bit different meaning after 45 or something, starting to be very uniquely to the Jewish suffering.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so point I'm making is that, like, for example, for me, the Holocaust and the Armenian genocide are totally two different things, because the motivation was different, the execution was different, the hatred was different. So I think this is like uniquely Nazi ideology that was affected to Jews, right? You can make argument that, like I said, many Serbs died, many Slavs died, Gypsies, homosexuals, but level on the hate Nazis to the Jews, they were like, I don't want to offend anybody, but they were saying they are not human, right? And you have the second tier that were Slavs and so and so, right? So again, they have like very detailed plan how to do that, industrialize that. We didn't see that, for example, in Armenian genocide or Holodomor in Ukraine, when they have different motives of what happened. So I don't think that we we should like kind of water it down.
But aren't there common threads? Okay, so I guess in like to Jews though, like when we were sort of brainwashed from birth to talk about and memorialize the Holocaust, right? And we were seeing these images, and I think to me, like as a Jewish person who takes my cultural heritage and this legacy pretty seriously, like when I see things happening in Gaza at the hands of, in the name of Jews by the Jewish state, regardless of whether it meets the criteria of a genocide under international law, regardless of if it was provoked or not, which of course the Holocaust was not provoked, regardless of these like distinguishing characteristics, to me, like I think it's valid for me to see echoes of what my great grandparents went through in the images that are coming out, and to me, like it makes it's an affront. It's insulting to their deaths to not use it as instructive, to use their memory and of their tragedy as instructive.
Are you like trying to gaslight people by saying that you take your Judaism serious? Like, Buttercup, are you serious?
All right, you know what? Go down. Go ahead.
Okay, so for example, my family, or my grandmother was slaughtered by Croatian in the camp, right? In the eyes of my grandmother, right? So if somebody starting to kind of making the same argument that what happened to the Serbs in World War II and what happened, like, let's say, in NATO bombing in 1999, and we have those cases, I'm kind of getting offended because then you're kind of towering down what happened to my family, right? In both cases, we suffered, but the level of suffering is different. So that's why I don't think that we should... listen, I'm for absolute free speech, so everybody can say whatever they want. But when we talk about these things, historical things, maybe legal, political, I think that we should use in like for example, I'll give you a last example and then shut up, I promise. So when they Sarah, when she's saying like a chattel slavery should be maybe
Bad boy.